panel, Innovation Opportunities. Once again, my name is Luke Schultz, Director of Small Business Programs for Air Force Lifecycle Management Center. Really excited about this panel, just a lot of great innovators, and I'd like to introduce the moderator for this session, Mr. Randy Hildebrandt, Chief Innovation Lead over at Bombers of that cell. Randy, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Good afternoon. My goal for this session is to give you some red meat. You came here to hear demand signals, opportunities, lessons learned, successes, hopefully not failures, although we all do that every now and then. But yeah, we want to be real and make it worth your time. So I tell you what, I got to handpick this august group to my left. This is really great. These guys are in the trenches, innovating, engaging small businesses and others, and solving real problems for the Air Force. So without further ado, if we would just introduce ourselves, please, Mr. Lawrence.
Oh, good. Okay. So good afternoon, Jimmy Lawrence. So I'm the Deputy Program Executive Officer for the Rapid Sustainment Office. Some people may have heard my name in an earlier panel, so then I ran away. But no, great to be here. So I appreciate the opportunity, Randy, and then for Luke pulling this together. I think from a small business perspective within the Rapid Sustainment Office, so we're located here at Patton, Ohio. Not sure where everyone's from. I usually try to call people in the audience because it's way more fun. So we're here. Most of my portfolio is actually small business, so I'm one of the more attractive PEOs to do business with because of the nature of our mission and how we actually go about things. Number of success stories, multiple vehicles of how we use it. We don't just use the SIBR activity, but we have a number of other vehicles that we can get after activities, how we outreach the problems we're trying to solve, and then what we've been able to do to actually scale some of the small businesses across the enterprise, or at least get them ready to scale. Whether it's so for those who don't know, my portfolio, there's 6 major technology focus areas. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, that's primarily our predictive maintenance capability through the enterprise solution Panda. So that's with our partner. Then we're also the center of excellence for advanced manufacturing. So we have the AMPO program office, which is what you heard Mr. Stamey talk about during the additive manufacturing. So we're partnered up with the University of Dayton Research Institute, which has been a great partnership and allows us to really expand both academically and then through the business side as well, and then on the manufacturing side. So with that, we're looking at metals and polymers, machine qualifications, material qualifications, and then translating that into actually part supportability, fixtures, jigs, and tools, and everything else. So those are 2 of my major program offices. The other one is called Rapid, Agile, and Innovative Capabilities. That's kind of a new name change for that team. And then what they have is 4 other technology focus areas. So augmented reality and virtual reality. So if you think about XR from a operations side, how do you do multi-capable airmen a little better? We have rapid capability. We have expeditionary capabilities I like to talk about. So whether that's different types of green energy, power generation in an austere environment, rapid deployable structures, or anything within the agile combat deployment realm. So there's a whole lot of different technologies we look at through that. And then we have data and digital environments. We're partnered up with a number of companies, both large and small, getting after some of the log IT systems and mission resiliency that you talk about. And then the last one is, did I say all 4? Either way. I'll think about it in a second. But what that does is, even though my name is the Rapid Sustainment Office, I'm out there to solve problems. So I interface as almost an enabling PEO is how I explain it to the other PEOs that you probably saw out here. So I'm not shy of a problem if there's something we can help to either disrupt the market, which is bringing new technologies to bear, working with small businesses through the ATO process, which we've been very successful through. And I know that's a pain point for many small businesses on the barrier of entry, or other activities like that. We're able to do that. So number of vehicles out there, you'll see pretty soon that we will have a Mac IDIQ. So when I was here last year on a different panel, we talked about how we were putting together a contract vehicle that would actually be more focused on small business. That's coming to fruition and should be out probably here pretty soon. I have a commercial solutions opening out through 25, which encompasses all my tech focus areas. So when there is a need or something out there, we can get out the business through SAM.gov and go after FAR Part 12 contracts and then take those through. And then we also have other authorities that we use. And then one of the more unique ones within the PEO realm is the SBIR authority. And Mr. Angelos will talk to you a little bit about SBIR. But Honorable Hunter actually delegated the RSO SBIR authority as well. So having that authority, I think we're the only PEO in LCMC that actually has that authority to go out and use that, which has been very beneficial for traversing the Valley of Death, which most people are probably familiar with, of how do you get from innovation and ideas, scale that up, and then actually find a way to do dual commerciality and have an actual way to continue that capability, whether it's in another PEO portfolio or my own. So looking forward to this panel. That's a little bit about the RSO. There's going to be a lot more, but if you have questions, looking forward to it and more engaging conversation.
Thanks, Mr. Lawrence. So the Rapid Sustainment Office gets it done. My team works with them extensively, and if you haven't engaged that team yet, you should, because there's good opportunities there. So Patrick Titer, tell us everything.
All right, my name is Patrick Titer. I work for AFLCMC XP. Kind of like a one-man band when it comes to SBIR, SITR, liaison between LCMC, AFWERX, probably the RSO as well. The nature of my job is when either directorates come and they have some concerns and or do not know how to engage with AFWERX in particular, or to do specific topic, open topic, strat by, tac by. My job is to help them with that, and at the same time, to start working on demand signals across the DAF. So being a one-man band is kind of fortuitous because I get to go where I want, when I want, how I want. Projects come to me through different directorates. And just not that long ago, had one come to me where HB was looking for a UAS that would go maybe 1,000 miles. And they wanted certain sensors on that. And I said, well, have you talked to WI? They're like, no, we haven't talked to WI. Why would we? Home of UAS. And they're like, oh, wait, we never thought about that. That's my job, to think about that, to understand the PEOs. And at the same time, I've been doing this for about 6 months, so I'm also getting airmen and guardian requests as well, where they will come and say, hey, Patrick, I've got this project. Is there anything that you can help with it? So maybe it's helping them to get to the refinery, which is through AFWERX, or maybe they need a little bit of beef behind them, meaning through a specific two-letter PEO, and trying to make those marriages. So I kind of look at myself as a potential bride and groom together.
I think what they'd like to know is, do you have a business card so you can point them in the right direction when they all come?
I do not have a business card, but here's the thing. If you want to make contact with me, give me your card. I'll email you my contact information this week, okay? And then we'll see what we can do to help you out.
You're kind of like the matchmaker from.
That's it. I'm the
Fiddler
match.
on the
I
Roof.
am a matchmaker.
You're up on the rooftop.
I am.
The
That's
Mingle
it. That's
site.
it.
Thanks, Patrick. So we have AFWERX in the room. We're not just going to talk about AFWERX. We're actually going to hear from AFWERX. Joey is from one of their divisions, and this is an honor to have you there. Joey?
Hi, thanks, Randy. So just a quick poll. How many folks here have had SBIRs or currently have SBIRs? Raise your hand. That's a good number. Thank you.
4.5.
Yeah. So thank you, Randy, for inviting us here. So AFWERX, just a really quick background for those that don't know AFWERX, or I'm sure many of you probably have heard of AFWERX. So AFWERX, we're actually we call a two-letter organization underneath Air Force Research Laboratory. We're AFRL/RG. We have basically 4 primary divisions. So we have Spark Division, which they work with all the Spark cells out there in the operational Air Force as well as the major commands. We've got Prime, which they do actual transitions such as the electric vehicle takeoff and landing project called Agility Prime as an example. AF Ventures, which is the division that I fall under, and then the SpaceWorks is a division actually under AFWERX. So, but for if you don't hear anything from the rest of what I'm going to say here, so if you think of AFVentures specifically within AFWERX, we execute the Department of the Air Force Small Business Innovation Research Small Business Technology Transfer Program. Obviously, we don't do that in a bubble. We work with everyone here on this table, as well as all the program executive officers, all our Air Force Research Lab technology directorates, as well as a lot of our MAGCOMs. And of course, we have a space arm that's SpaceWorks that also does the Department of the Air Force Small Business Innovation, Small Business Technology Transfer Program, also known as SBIRCITR. So how AFVentures executes the SBIRCITR program, the Department of the Air Force SBIRCITR program. So we have 3 branches that are basically the 3 programs, 3 ways we execute the program. Open topic, specific topic, and then as Patrick mentioned, STRATFI, TACFI, which stands for Strategic Funding Increase and Tactical Funding Increase. So the open topic, it's been around since about 2018, and that's where it starts with you small businesses, where you submit your topic, your innovative technology, and then we help you go find a customer. So it's more of you bringing your innovative ideas to the Department of the Air Force. Where specific topic, it starts with the Air Force. So right now within our Turtle Air Force, we're we have this thing called this topic selection module. So we develop our topics that will be solicited here pretty soon for you guys to submit proposals to those specific topics. And then your strategic funding increase, tactical funding increase program is for companies that already had a phase 2 within the last 2 years. It's really to try to bridge that valley of death by awarding a sequential phase 2 to help that. And there's a matching requirement for our strategic fund increase and tactical fund increase as well, just to show that this technology is not only being looked at from within a government organization, but also commercial organizations as well. So whether they're your VCs, private equities type investments. So that's just a summary. AFVentures, I'm the technical advisor. I work for Daniel Carroll. He's our director of AFVentures. And then our AFWERX director is Colonel Elliot Lee, NEO, and that's our organization. But I'm glad to be here. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, but I'm more than happy to take those. And I just want to mention one thing. One of the priorities that my boss, our boss, Colonel Lee, has is connecting the ecosystem. And you'll see that there's a lot of people that play in this innovation space. So there's a lot of efforts that are out there, obviously. And so we work, obviously, with all the PEOs and the technical directorates and all our major commands, and even our bases. But really making those connections and making those, seeing what technology is out there. I'd like to point out to our website. We currently have a system, or I guess a database, if you will, called Ignite. That's where small businesses have an opportunity to have storefronts and for government users to go and look to see what technologies that have already had SBIRCITRs in the past within, I think, the last 6 years. Might go back to 2016, but it's either 2016 or 2018. But then we also have, if you go on our website, afworks.com, we do have a search for that. It's called the AFWERX portfolio that you can also search for companies that have had SBIRCITR program. So just, I think that's about it. But thank you, and look forward to questions, and look forward to making connections with you small businesses. Thanks.
Thanks, Joey. AFWERX is in the house. So straight from Oshkosh, your story to tell, Doug.
Yep. So I'm Doug Patton. I'm the Innovation Cell Chief for Simulators. So we're AFLCMC, but we're in WN, which is Agile Combat, but that's actually turning into PEO training as of, I think, tomorrow. So what that means is every training device is going to get pulled into the PEO training portfolio, which means that WNS, which is simulators within WN, is going to get a great big portfolio moving very quickly. So the innovation cell that I run, if you're familiar with ITSEC from the last couple of years, the match games, that came out of the innovation cell. So we do some cyber work. We do some database work where we're identifying any capabilities that might work within SIMS and any of the SIM devices. Within SIMS itself, we have a whole mess of different programs, about 40 different programs, so everything from AMC, ACC, FMS use cases. When you think about our office is the vendor engagement office for anyone that wants to work with anyone in SIMS. So if you want to meet with ACC and AMC groups, if you want to meet with the SCARS group, anything that's JSE related, all of that would be underneath simulators. And the vendor engagement group for that would be my office. The other one that I always like to push, next week we actually have a kickoff for an establishment of the XR guidelines. So if there's anyone out there that is doing any sort of XR work, I know that most everyone's already been invited to it, but one of the big pushes for my office is to start to establish an Air Force-wide XR approach and guideline. So that's one of the other big things we're looking at. Just a lot of innovative tech that relates to simulators in general and what those immersive devices are going to look forward. So if you heard that and you're like, hey, I'm doing XR stuff, let me know, because it's definitely something we want to roll everyone into. There's hundreds of people that have been invited. And this is going to be good guidance for everyone that wants to start to play in the XR spaces. That's also going to be good guidance for anyone that wants to play within the JSE spaces, because this guide will help people understand what our requirements and needs are. That's facilitated by the office that I oversee as well. So if anyone does have any reason to connect with SIMS, or if you have some solution that might work with SIMS, or if you have an office that might want to connect with us, it would be through the innovation cell. Let me know, and we can definitely make that happen. Thanks, everyone.
And Oshkosh, EDY all last week.
Oh, yes.
Sleeping under wings of airplanes,
It was
probably.
that much fun. So AFMC had a tent at Oshkosh Air Show, which is the world's largest air show. It didn't really dawn on me that it was the world's largest air show until I saw 10,000 planes all lining together. We brought a couple of sims out there to demonstrate the small, lightweight sim capabilities that we have. We were out there for all of last week. It was 12-hour days, but it was a lot of fun because we were able to show regular civilians, hey, this is the kind of stuff that the Air Force is doing when it comes to XR devices and training devices. And so it's a good way to make those kinds of connections so people can understand, hey, the Air Force actually can do modern technology. I saw it. It looks real. So just getting able to bridge that gap and make sure people know what's happening. We'll go to every single NTSA event that's out there as well. And then my office is also overseeing both the quad booth and the DAF booth that's going to be coming up at this year's ITSIC. So if you're coming to ITSIC this year, there's going to be 2 separate booths for the Air Force, and then the innovation cell within WNS is overseeing those as well. We're busy, I'm telling you.
Are busy. Thank you. So Colonel Harris is from ISR&SOF. So between he and Colonel Moen to his left for mobility, you got a big chunk of LCMC portfolio with these 2 gentlemen. Colonel Harris?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Harris from WIN, where every day we go to work winners. I'm the senior material leader for ISR, sensors, and FMS programs. I'll give you a quick orientation on what we do, and then we'll talk a little bit about the small business initiatives. So we have 4 product branches, one focused on GEOINT systems, geospatial intelligence systems, another focused on signals intelligence systems, and then one FMS branch that does light reconnaissance systems. Those are generally commercial derivative aircraft that have ISR systems and technologies integrated onto them. And then the last one is the fighter reconnaissance, and those are plotted solutions for FMS customers. So really quickly going through those and talking just briefly about some of the small business opportunities. So within the GEOINT branch, I will say in general, this is kind of a golden age of interaction with small businesses, because there's been a breakup of a lot of the large air-breathing assets within the ISR portfolio, right? So you've had the imminent divestiture of the U2 and the RQ4, the MQ9 is on a glide slope as well. And so what that has done is open up a lot of the technologies that we have to modularize and break a lot of the vendor, or get rid of the vendor lock on some of those technologies. So within GEOINT, we've built everything off of a SOSA open standard. So have a couple of architecture frameworks that are government owned, that are easy to get access to within the Bird Box and Red Hawk frameworks, and those allow for any developers to start working and create different applications, different automatic target recognition, sensor optimizations, different modalities within their different modes, and port those onto sensor packages. And also within that branch, we have the Agile Pod. Agile Pod is an open standard system that allows for multiple different types of payloads to be easily integrated onto that, and it is agnostic of who's making them and who's developing. We can, building to that standard, we can easily integrate those onto the Agile Pod system. Within the SIGINT branch, have a lot of opportunities there as well. Our premier program that we're working with ACC on is for SIGINT is CI6, which is a SIGINT package that the main focus of what we're doing is to develop that into an open standard SIGINT package. So it will be readily available for third-party applications to be added into that system. So that is a BAE-led effort, but the ICD is owned by the government, and that is available to start working to develop different packages for signals of interest. The other large opportunity is within the LOCUST program, the low-cost UAS SIGINT technologies. We work with several different companies to integrate small swap SIGINT sensors and different techniques and technologies onto those platforms. On the FMS side, a few less opportunities, but still open within the light reconnaissance. We do have a open IDIQ for different companies to bid on technologies that get integrated onto these light reconnaissance platforms. So those calls go out as we get in new requests from foreign partners. And then on the podded solution, the fighter reconnaissance, we're working to develop a releasable Agile Pod system, which will be looking for different sensor packages, different payloads that can be that are exportable, that we can integrate onto that system for our foreign partners. So across the spectrum, a lot of opportunities. There's a couple more that we can talk about today, different calls that we have for specific topics, and that really open up the aperture for getting a lot of participation from small businesses. Look forward to talking more.
Thanks, Colonel Harris. So you probably don't know this, but the very young Lieutenant Colonel way to my left is a Colonel Select, just as of this week. Colonel Select Moen, what's your story?
Appreciate it. All right, Mike Moen. I work in PEO Mobility and Trainers, soon to just be Mobility. I'm an engineer by background. First 10 years did SPO stuff, lasers, rockets, avionics, that kind of thing. And the second 10 years, it's various staff jobs. Right now, so interagency, headquarters Air Force, where I did a bunch of POM work, so that's my area of expertise. And then MAGCOM, and then now I'm in the PEO staff for mobility. My specific role is tech development branch, so we look for opportunities for technology across the mobility fleet. Two other areas are digital material management, and partner with AFWERX, Agility Prime, to work with AMC to working the transition of that technology, the eVTOL, get it out of the lab, the great work they're doing there, and get it in the hands of the warfighter. So, that's me. I want to talk about small business opportunities in PEO mobility. We have a few SIBRs and SITRs in TACFI and a STRATFI, but I would say we're underexposed to SIBR SITR. We're looking to increase our exposure to the program. And from that, Mr. Stamey, my PEO, has primarily identified aircraft availability as what we want to go after. Specifically, he wants to look at a couple technologies: additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and then digital material management. Those both to increase the aircraft availability and also increase the speed at which we can get things going. Then finally, he's interested in survivability. We haven't been underinvested in survivability for a long time in the mobility fleet, taking it for granted that aircraft will come home. That survivability links to my MAGCOM, Air Mobility Command, and the things they're looking for. General Minahan just briefed Congress on connectivity, and the way the community is looking at it, we can't really have survivability without achieving connectivity first. So we're interested in beyond line of sight data connections. Some specific quotes here. Data streams need to be integrated using open architecture, federated systems, and distilled into coherent interfaces. The kinds of things we would need are command and control, the logistics efforts, and then threat information, everything you think you would need flying over in that AOR. And then he defines robust connectivity as the means of closing thousands of logistic chains so that our warfighting partners can close their kill chains. So to get after this work, right now PEO C3BM, who I believe briefed earlier in the day or yesterday, has been hard at work at identifying requirements and identifying mission threads that need help. And they've created a couple recommendations and they've gone over to AMC. AMC is hard at work at distilling those down into platform-specific requirements that we should get later this year. For our part, in WL, we partner with AFRL, AFWERX, and to explore the trade space so that we're ready to go in at the right time when the money comes through so that we can start buying these things quickly. So we recently put out an RFI to understand low drag antennas. Tankers, of course, are mission dependent on how much fuel they can carry, so we want to keep the fuel for the mission. And then finally, agility. We're working with AMC to define the next generation airlift last tactical leg requirements. And then, of course, we work with AFWERX, who has ample experience working with small businesses to get that eVTOL capability online. So we're trying to, we're not trying, we're communicating those nascent NGAL little requirements to the small businesses so they can adjust their technology investments over the next few years, and thus they'll be ready to rock and roll when that money comes through. All right.
Thanks, Colonel Moen. So I want to continue the theme of opportunities that the two gentlemen on the left set real nicely for their portfolios. And I'm going to start first in that there's an opportunity for you all in connecting with any of us, but let me volunteer my name first, in that the innovation leaders throughout LCMC and headquarters AFMC get together once a month and have a collaboration session. And it's pretty meaningful. And often we'll showcase what you all are inventing, opportunities we would have to learn more. And so I just offer to you all to reach out to us to participate in that session. And my team helps to coordinate that. So there's an opportunity. More opportunities. Jimmy, you guys do lots and you got 10 pages of stuff. What do you want to share?
I think I'm kind of curious, just from maybe a quick show of hands, this will probably help the rest of the panel. How many companies out there provide services? Okay, so Scott, look around. I see you in the front. So Scott over here, that you don't know, runs our ANAS or our services for all of LCMC. So just another person to maybe reach out to on the services side. How many people are doing kind of manufacturing type activities? Okay, that's in. All right, and more of digital technologies, kind of software-based applications. Automation robotics, which is the other piece of the portfolio I forgot to talk about. Okay. So I like to say that because I'm more interested in, like, I can share what I do and I have gaps, but I'm more interested in what the technologies that the companies have that they're looking to maybe figure out some of your questions are probably like, how do I get a hold of, Joey over here, and how do I work the SIBR process? How, if I don't want to go through the SIBR process, or I've been through the SIBR process, are the other tools or avenues for which I can bring my technologies into the, I'll say the DAF, Air Force, Space Force, or even other services, and get it out there. And those are the types of conversations. Now with the RSO, we have a unique partnership with the University of Dayton Research Institute. So Brian, raise your hand, because I see you. So right back there is my partner in crime. And what that is it's not an FFRDC, but it's kind of like that, where they're a technology extension arm for how we transition technologies, whether it's into the other PEOs. So we work very closely with, Colonel Harris doesn't know everything that we do, but we work very closely with WI and Colonel Williams, who someone saw earlier. Also, Colonel now Moen down there, or Colonel Select Moen. With Mr. Stamey's group, we're also doing a lot of work as well. So from an RSO perspective, we have a lot to bring across multiple areas of expertise, and then we also try and link up and see how those capabilities are used. So is anyone familiar with the Identify, Apply, Scale model that we run? I know I was on a panel last year with Global Supply Chain. No hands is okay. So what that is basically, everyone know the 5002 horse blanket, the acquisition process for the Air Force? Yeah, it's like convoluted and huge and long and everything like that. Okay, we slimmed it down really for what we want to do. So with Identify, it's like, hey, what's the problem? So then we go to the apply phase and we say, all right, well, now we have this problem statement, and we're actually working on a requirements generation model using small business that we can actually pair problem statements up from the match comms and the other users, and then say, hey, all right, what technologies do we have? So kind of like what Joey said with Ignite, there's also Vulcan and SOCOM, and there's all these different, systems that the businesses are probably like, why do I have 700 systems? It's a problem. But what we want to do is we want to say, hey, I have this problem. Like, let's just talk about agile combat employment. Everyone know what ACE is? Kind of everyone who's been there. How do I miniaturize things, reduce my footprint, make it more mobile, get it out of the way and get going? How do I reduce, my energy consumption and things of that nature? So one of the things that we do during our Identify, Apply, Scale is that application, that apply side, is we will take technology. So I'm basically in the TRL 4 to, I'll say 9, but I like to be in the 5 to 7 sweet spot. And what that requires is when you work with us, or we work with you primarily, it's how do I take your commercial technology or your military-driven technology, put military utility on it, and put it into a problem set that maybe you didn't think about. The other unique piece that we do is we've actually put a lot of our technologies with acceptable risk into the user's hands and the operators, and we've deployed them into major scale exercises. And what that does is twofold, right? We see, one, did we fix the problem that we were trying to solve with the innovation side from industry that you bring? Two, that gives you feedback for how, because you want to know whether your product's meeting it or not without going through this big ramp up scale production. So that's one of the unique aspects that we bring to the fight, is how do we get that into, AFSOC's hands, or the contingency response wings and groups. And as, Colonel Williams talked about earlier, we've got a fun playground to start testing out some technologies that we're all working. How do we do that rapidly to make sure that you're getting the feedback? And if your solution works, how do we then embed that into a PEO portfolio, which is where you want to be on, called a program element, so that there's sustained funding for that technology thread. So that's kind of a little bit, I'm kind of curious on what industry wants to know up here versus us just kind of telling you, because we're here to kind of help. We all have different lanes in the innovation space, but as Randy said, we all collaborate together, and we're all interlinked on how we're trying to solve different problems against the different MDS or mission design series and problem sets that we have.
Yeah, excellent point, Jimmy. So we're definitely going to open the floor for you all to let us know, either now or, as I said, offline, of what you are interested to learn more about, or what you'd like us to know about. So that's coming soon. Thank you. Doug, need to hear more. So JSE, Joint Simulation Environment, huge challenge area, right? An opportunity to improve efficiencies. You want to expand on that a little bit relative to opportunities for small businesses to help solve problems.
Sure. So JSE is a lot of things all at once. JSE, it's held partially within WNS in simulators, and it's partially us with the Air Force, and then partially the Navy. It's an approach to simulation that's the highest fidelity possible, and it's the highest realism possible for that night one sort of training. And it accomplishes a couple of different things. The first thing is going to be F-35 training at the most perfect level possible, using the most modern technologies, the best image generators, the best systems, the best of everything put into one. There's capabilities that currently exist for JSE right now. There's a ton at Pax River, but then it's also, as it's getting expanded out, that's going to be the new benchmark for simulators moving forward. So not just F-35, but any other simulator that wants to play in any sort of realistic level would have the same benchmark that JSE is setting. Not just for image fidelity and not just for operational function, but it would also be for networking. So how do all of those different simulators connect? That's something that JSE and our SCARS team is establishing, is how do we get all these completely dislocated devices playing together with virtually zero latency, perfect graphics, perfect realism. So it's sort of redefining the simulation environment, but then it's also creating a new benchmark for us to reach towards. And what we need a lot of companies that can leverage what really, not just the cutting edge of right now technology, but what it's going to look like for the next 4 or 5 years. When we talk about what our image standards are for JSE, it's an incredibly high number, and there is no monitor and there is no headset that can currently capture those, because that's what we're working towards. So it's not a current display port versus HDMI kind of thing. It's going to require a brand new kind of cabling for us to hit those goals. But it's necessary so that we can actually get to that kind of a level. Within that, there's also the data processing aspect. So every single device that's connected on the network is going to be pulling in a ton of information, going to be sending a ton of information. That information has to be managed, processed, stored, and identified. And that's where that interesting one comes in, is that we're getting back a ton of information. It has to be processed and then given back to the instructors. We know that humans can't do that on their own, so we're starting to look at artificial intelligence approaches to do data management and then give us back good feedback and then give it to a way that we can understand what is happening, what are we seeing. When we crack that code with JSE at that level, then we know that's what we're going to apply to all the other devices going down further to create a structure to where you can have one instructor that's sitting watching 10 devices remotely, and he's being told specifics that he needs to watch on all those different trainers. We have a lack of instructors, so we're trying to figure out a good remote sim instruction solution that's also going to leverage the newer technology. So it's kind of an exciting time right now for JSE, because they're fantastic to look at. It's a fantastic IG that everyone's going to really want to get into, but then it's also setting a new, much further goal line for us than we ever thought possible. But it's something that we absolutely can get to. It's just going to take a lot of very modern technologies and a lot of forward-thinking individuals helping us bring it there. If you were at STCF this year, you heard Colonel Kovacic talk about how that is something where we need industry to help us with. And so there is a specific group of vendor engagements just for JSE. There's a specific team that does that, and they work with my innovation cell. And we sit down to meet with everyone to understand the capabilities that are out there. Your AI/ML, your LVC, your data modeling and storage, your MBSE, pick a buzzword, and that's one of those things that we absolutely need the latest and greatest to push forward in JSE. It's exciting times, though.
Very exciting times. The challenges are enormous. You've heard from our leaders these last few days, reinforcing the need for creative solutions, innovative solutions. I would just say, as you guys are thinking about more opportunities, and Luke, if you would find maybe one or two or some asks from the audience.
Okay, I've got a microphone, so take a few questions. I know the real thing is they want to connect with you guys, come up on stage and stuff. So if we have any questions, I have a microphone.
Yeah, good. As he's walking over there, let me just share opportunities and pain points, communications, not just where I work in bombers, but all the platforms represented here, beyond line of sight communications, classified, unclassified, creative solution sets to include the hardware and software to drive these things, conformal antennas, and all the cyber resiliencies that are needed within. That's a huge, huge topic of conversation right now, for which we are looking for your all's inventions to solve. Ed?
Hi, thanks so much. I have a question for Mr. Patton. I've heard a little bit about interest in kind of the nuts and bolts behind JSE, getting interoperability and everything else, but you also mentioned having a reduction in instructors and mentioned AI. And I was wondering how much you may have thought about combining those two things, using AI to be a part of the instruction. And part of my question is also, is that, you know, way down the line, or is that innovation that you think you could consider at this point?
It's really difficult talking about AI to some leadership, because sometimes they think of it more as like an entity, like we're creating the next Skynet. And so they worry because they're like, well, we're going to teach a computer to fly a jet. And so what we've actually had to plan, and this is going to be coming up in September, is that in our lab, we're bringing over a couple of AI companies, and we always can use more, a couple of AI companies to talk more about what actually AI can do. It's not just an entity on a phone, but it's actually, you get into your large language and your large action models, and you talk about the capabilities of AI and how you can leverage that. So there's a hesitance with a lot of the trainers to just teach an AI to do something, to like fly or something. And right now they need a lot more of the feedback. The balancing act is that they also want AI to start to watch pilots. Now the pilots also kind of don't really like that idea if someone is watching them. But so we're very slowly treading into AI. What it takes is a lot more information from the companies that are working in AI to really explain it. First couple of AI companies we talked to, they said, well, you know, we can give you 20 AI entities. And all of our leadership said, I don't like that idea. It's kind of weird. Once we said, okay, well, this is what a large action model is. And a large action model can do these kinds of responses and it can do these kinds of things, and got into the real finer details of it, it kind of won them over. In the future, absolutely yes, it's going to be one of those, you're going to be flying and someone else is going to be an AI-controlled aircraft, and then the trainer will be able to watch those. That's an inevitable goal. The challenge is, how do you give that AI entity enough information to fly and fly successfully and carefully, but also make sure that that information is secure? The pilots would say, I don't want to be graded by an AI because the AI might make it easier for me and harder for them, because pilots will find any reason at all to argue if they fail the test. That's what they do. So right now we're looking at how do we leverage it in smart, intelligent ways. And a lot of it is kind of the non-conventional, where instead of using just AI to fly, we're saying, well, can AI suddenly do radio bursts? If you're just practicing touch and goes, can AI just suddenly send radio bursts that you have to respond to? And when we picture it in places like that, suddenly people are saying, oh, we can leverage AI for a lot of different things. Our JTAC team absolutely loves the concept of AI, because it could be a couple of people and a bunch of AI entities all in the same room working together and learning those processes. So we'll get to that point eventually, but we need a lot more use cases of AI being used in more common areas to have that conversation and get that good understanding with leadership, so that they see that it's not, you know, we're teaching them every single thing. Does that make sense? It's a process. We're going to get there. It's this kind of, we have to show that it's actually useful and tangible first. So we're getting there, though.
As Luke is looking for another question, AI earlier in my career, most of my career was action item. So artificial intelligence. So is there another question or a comment from the audience? Yeah, we have one comment. Hear from you guys.
Thank you. I wanted to ask your advice for small businesses when we get some contracts to demonstrate and prototype some of our. We sometimes have challenges getting customer engagement. And the more customer engagement and the users that actually are on the front line using this, who we're trying to solve the problems for, the more customer engagement we have, the better that we can do a job at developing this innovation. And I've had challenges in the past of getting enough customer engagement and users on the front line to help us understand the problems and roadblocks that they have. And I just wanted to ask anybody on the panel some advice on how we can accelerate that or mature that process.
Where is the Air Force front door? Customer engagement.
I got a couple quick nuggets real quick. We've had this problem in the past as well, you know, where we have vendors come to us with technologies. We find them interesting and useful, but it's hard to connect that with the requirement side. So a couple of ways that we've attacked that. One thing that we did that was really successful was we partnered with them in venues like this. The time we did it was specifically at AFA, where we could reach a large audience. This does not have as much of the user community, but AFA does. And so we connected with our requirements owners and got them together with the vendor to have those discussions. And then we could get everyone in the room on what the technology was, what was happening with it, how we could integrate it into a system, what we saw as the viability of that, and then really spark the interest and the imagination of the user and requirements owners community that could then help build that and direct us essentially to start integrating that into the overall technology base. And that really is, from ISR&SOF perspective, that's what we need, is that connection with the requirements owners so that we have that clear direction that we can get through the corporate process, getting the funding in place, getting everything aligned so that we can meet those needs. So that was a success that we had with connecting those together.
Yeah, that great answer, sir. And that's a powerful question. Would anybody else like to respond to that? Colonel Moen?
I'll take a shot at it right before Colonel Moen, because I think one of the things that we struggle with, I think we're all going to struggle with, is what is the front door, right? So I was just signing Mr. Titer up to be that front door, is what you heard me talking about. We all have forward-facing pages. Some are easier to use than others. For the RSO, for example, and I'll leave my card. Everything on the LCMC page that everyone in industry can get to has a how to contact us, and then that gives a direct line back to one of our organizations where you can get all the information, give us your technologies, your contact information. Have we been perfect at that? No, but it's a way that you can reach out and contact us knowing that we exist. I think that's one of the things we have to improve on from a center perspective, not just an individual PEO, because as Colonel Harris said, we all have different gaps and problems. And sometimes one technology that you bring to, I'll say, ISR, maybe it is better in mobility, or maybe it is better in fighters and advanced aircraft, or maybe it's better in business enterprise systems. So there's also the piece that, depending on the classification level that you're looking at, there's programs out there, and Luke probably knows which one I'm talking about with our IP folks, is we can get a certain amount of contractors read into certain levels, at least at the next level up, without having to go through all the barriers of some of these classification levels to bring you in to have those discussions, so you can find out if you're really hitting the mark with the technology, or maybe there's something you need to do. Colonel Moen, over to you.
Much more just tactical, practical example. We have some software nobody likes, but they have to use it. And so, first of all, they're required. That's one step. The next step is we investigated and tried to clearly and concisely describe why it's in that person's best interest. And then we went a step further to break it down and step by steps how this product is going to benefit them. We didn't have metrics yet, but that would be the next step. And then finally, we targeted training toward those things that would be the key benefit to our program managers that were supposed to use the software. So that's what we did. It's not successful yet. We'll see. Yep.
Good. All right.
If I can interject,
Please.
I think that the other thing that you could do is bring me in. I don't have all the answers, but as I was telling Mr. Lawrence, I sure as hell know how to run into brick walls and tear them down. I spent 25 years in small business before I came to the government. But I understand the pain. I've lived it. I don't know everybody, but I have a pretty nice network of people who do. So I'm kind of like, they say you're like 5 people away from knowing everybody. Well, I know about 4 or 5 people, that being one of them right there, who I can go to and say, hey, this technology was brought to my attention. And it looks like it might fit X, Y, but I'm not sure. And Randy, who has that experience and breadth of knowledge might be able to confirm that, let alone others. So I would tell you, reach out to me. Give me your card. I'll reach out to you, at least to give you my contact information. And that goes across the board. And then I'll do what I can to help connect you to the right people. If you run into brick walls, and you let me know, and I'll find out what maybe the reason is. It's just the fact they're so busy at the moment. And if that's it, then so be it. We all get that way. But if it's for something else and they're just not quite ready to say, I can at least let you know that. The worst part is just dangling. For any small business, it's dangling. When you're like, I know what I have to offer is of great benefit. Engage me in that regard, and I will help out.
Patrick. So we're going to save a little bit of time at the end for us to meet you face to face, to exchange business cards, et cetera. So as we get to that point, let me try to put a cap on this by continuing to answer that very good question. How do we get a hold of you guys? May sound silly, but LinkedIn is a very powerful tool that a lot of us use. Feel free to find our names and connect with us there. Okay, so let's say you do find the front door. Mr. Titer, on the Sustainment side, Mr. Lawrence, or any of us. Then we have to do something about that. You might find a inside sponsor in any one of our program offices, but yet they don't have the capacity to do anything about what you're presenting. Perhaps you reach the frozen middle. What do you do next? Or if you do capture a SIBR, how do you get through that valley of death? I'll just say simply, and I've been doing this specific innovation work, technology transition for 3 years, the last 3 years, and that is you got to find a sponsor. You have to find somebody that's truly interested, but more than just interested, but can do something about it. Not that you'll get your way, but without a sponsor, you really can't go anywhere in this Air Force with your invention. So of course it takes money. We have to be able to scale. It takes a requirement. So we have to communicate with our warfighter customers. So that that question really was about how do you get to the users? I heard that. So we engage with our users as well. So we work horizontally here, seeing it live in color, but also vertically and all directions to understand what our user command requirements are. Oh, by the way, they're doing SIBRs also. So don't just look at LCMC. There's a whole division at Global Strike Command down at Barksdale that does innovation. Office symbol A5N. It's a new development, and we work with them directly to synergize. Yeah, so the leadership teed up these last few days. Definitely the point that things are changing. We're moving to integrate capabilities to horizontal integration, and we're doing it here. So keep our names close, connect with us. And we collaborate monthly. Perhaps we'll bring you guys in to showcase your solution sets. We'd be happy to engage with you. With that, just one last call for any comments from the table.
Hey, Luke.
Yes.
So I'm curious what we do. So Luke's our small business director for LCMC. He sends a lot of people my way because they reach out to him. Is there anything we're doing at the center level to kind of bring that front door for the small businesses? We know the larger primes know who their PEOs are and where to get to. Is there anything you got going on, either in the works or already there, that industry can reach out to on the small business front?
I mean, they can always reach out to us and we'll send the capability statements. We've really worked closely with Randy and the innovation crosstalk team, kind of building them up and then bringing, Patrick up to speed on things. But, really what we've seen is they want to understand kind of where the funding is for the requirements, what requirements are out there, kind of the demand signals, but it's something that, we continue to need to work on.
And then I'm going to put one more plug and he's going to kill me. But hey, Jeff, raise your hand. So Jeff Malott down here is the Director of Small Business for AFMC for General Richardson. So with the 6-center construct under us, or the 7 if you put the museum in there, Jeff is also another way, because maybe not every technology goes into the PEO portfolio because of the Sustainment Center, the Test Center, and things of that nature, because everyone has a need somewhere. So these two individuals down here, both directors at the MAGCOM and the center level, can also help. And I call everyone out here because you're not going to know that by sitting in this room if we don't introduce ourselves to you and at least give you a forward-facing face. And we've been able to do a lot of work with both of these individuals across the horizontal integration that we're trying to do within the PEO structure.
Perfect. Okay, you guys, it's good to see you. It's good to meet you, either face-to-face here after this or online. And for sure, let's see each other again this time next year at LCID. Until then, be safe.